Minute. Okay, Stuart, you got it.
Hi, I'm Stuart McCown. I'm here with Tech School. I do marketing and general research for some of the tech founders here. And I'm going to help introduce next week on a series of financial tools. And here's Curling with today's speaker.
Thanks, Stuart. I felt like you should talk a little bit more about that financial tours, like, but that was great. You teased it. I know. I'm looking forward to that. One thing, Rachel, you've done so much, but there was one thing I totally always forget. Right? I forget about you being part of the Navy reverse. What should I say? Reverse? What's the best
The
way to
reserves.
reserves? Um, could you I want to get deeper into that later on, but thank you for your service. Like sometimes when Ty comes on or some other like Navy SEALs, like I was like, I'm always like thank you for your service, but I've never said that when I'm introducing you. You've been so helpful at Startup San Diego. You were like an entrepreneur in residence for us. You were part of like cohort 2, I believe, for us. With Fokcus, like you've been just there like a great mentor for me. And some like I was talking to someone recently, and they said, "How is Rachel doing?" She helped me so much, but I have to remember who that was. But like you were just a great peer for all the cohorts. So thanks for coming back and talking to this group. And I'm gonna let you kind of introduce yourself in some ways, but thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And honestly, I feel like you've been more of a mentor to me than I could have been to you. I've had a great, experience with Focus and with Jonna, and just kind of coming across you so many different times over the last few years, and being able to, kind of be helped and molded along the way has been a blessing. So thank you. I appreciate everyone allowing me to be here with you guys, and I'm really excited to kind of get started. And hopefully, this can be the start of a couple different, talks that we eventually have over this time, around kind of the same topic. And so that topic being the power of connection, right? And again, my name is Rachael Medlin, and I'm the founder of Malvo and Co. But when you think of the term power of connection, you're thinking what? People connection, right? And you're thinking, well, I have a network. I have a social network. I click on all those buttons. I've got a ton of friends. But that's not what I mean. I mean an authentic connection with real people, honestly, could shape your business. It can shape your career. It can really kind of change the trajectory of kind of where your life is going. So we'll kind of get into that today. Um, so, again, networking, right? And I know that's a big scary word for a lot of people, especially people that don't like to talk to other people or don't like to, walk into a room of people you don't know. But I want to hope, or I hope that at the end of all of this, that you guys feel a lot more comfortable doing that. And just, again, you see the value behind connecting to people. So let's kind of just get into it. So again, my name is Rachael. I have kind of a varied background, and you'll kind of see that going through. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mom of two. I'm in the Navy Reserves. I'm a small business and diverse business advocate, military family advocate. I have done quite a few things along the way, and as we kind of keep talking, you'll hear a little bit more about that. But one thing people have always told me was that I'm a people person, right? That I've never left a room without a friend. And I just enjoy that. I enjoy making friends, but I also enjoy connecting my friends. So, like with curling, that once I met him and understood what he's about, and all the different avenues and activities and things that he's a part of, any person that I come across that could potentially, benefit from knowing him or being a part of his circle, I always want to make sure I connect him. And that's something that I take great pride in, and it's something that we actually do at Malvo and Co. I consider us, people connectors, whether it's connecting diverse employees to great new opportunities with companies, or connecting small and medium-sized businesses to newer opportunities. It's just trying to make those connections for people to, grow in those different areas of their business.
I love that. And Rachel, what I didn't have you do is like start sharing your screen on certain things. Well, I know you have your deck too, So
Oh,
that's
I thought I was sharing it this whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah, but I think it was great. I think I actually liked it just being that pure form, like
Oh,
TEDx. It
yeah. So I can go back. I thought I was sharing this entire time. I am so
nah,
sorry.
it's good. I liked it. I liked it that way. Actually, it was great. It was good.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's good.
Yeah. When I got to networking, I had this great picture, and I'm like, hey, because this can be
That's it.
scary.
That's
No
great.
wonder. I'm like, okay, no one can see this. This isn't landing the same way. But
Nah, it's good. It's good. It landed. It landed. It was good.
well, again, I want to kind of shake that up a little bit because it honestly, once you take the fear out of it and you realize that you're just making friends, right? And that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? And if you kind of just keep that in your mind throughout all of today, I think it'll all kind of make sense, and how you can kind of take the scariness out of networking. That you're really just trying to make a friend, and you're not always looking for, well, what can this person do for me? Oh, I need to network with 5 different people who can help build my business. Well, no, like you really need friends, right? Because it's your friends that are going to help you build this business. It's people who, again, know, like, and trust you. um, so here's the actual slide of me that I thought I was sharing with you all. um, and then let's get into, we'll come back to that. But so again, about networking and kind of just how this can, I'm going to share stories. I'm much more of a story person. For a job that I got in the utility industry, because I've kind of done work all over, right? So I have a background in law. I went to law school, and I worked in a variety of different areas of the law, and that was really exciting. But I decided I wanted to do something else. Wanted to try different things, and I've done workman's comp insurance and utility work, retail, nonprofit, and kind of just everything in between. But honestly, a lot of those different opportunities have come through networking. So I got into military-based nonprofit work because, at one point I was a stay-at-home military spouse, and I had a lot of time and talent that I wanted to give to someone else, and I didn't know how to do that. So I started, going to lots of events that were held for military families, and then from there, I started volunteering with those same, organizations, and I kept seeing the same faces and the same, organizations hosting all of these things, and I started talking to people, and eventually, I made friends with the people, the organizers, and then they asked me, hey, could you volunteer for this? Or could you come and be a part of that? Or could you go tell somebody about this event that you had went to and how much fun it was? And I said, okay, sure, I could do that. Easy peasy. So I started doing that. And then, along the way, I realized, wow, I really like nonprofit work. I really love being able to give back. So I went back to school and I got a nonprofit management certificate. And I thought, okay, I want to be able to, again, give my time and talents to an organization and try to help them grow. So that landed me a paid position at a military-based nonprofit. And through, that organization, again, my network just widened, and I was able to continue to meet new people in different areas, and continue to find new ways to connect folks, to expand their own horizons. And so from there, I actually met a former employer of mine who, funny enough, our kids went to school together. And the nonprofit that I worked for ended up giving her an award. And we ended up just running into each other all the time. And again, I love to make friends with folks and just kind of chat and get to know people. And through all of our drop-offs and pickups, with the kids, she got to know my background. And she was building a business, and she didn't necessarily have a role at the time, but once she did, she realized, you know what, I want her. I like her. She had never seen my resume, but we had gotten to know each other, and she realized, yeah, I think I need her on my team. So she came and brought me a role I wasn't looking for, but eventually I was like, okay, sure, and I grew into it and I loved it. And from there, it kind of just sparked, my desire and my enthusiasm for wanting to have my own business. But I say that to just say that networking isn't always at networking events, right? Like it's not always like, oh, I have to go to this this happy hour and I've got to be, stuck in this room. No, like it honestly can happen, with the cashier at the grocery store. You're just talking to them, you're getting to know them. It could happen, at the schools that your kids go to, or, on campus, or you're waiting for coffee. It could be anywhere. So I think if you kind of, again, take yourself out of, it's always got to be in these specific settings and it has to be this specific thing, otherwise I'll never get there. Not true. Not true. And then another really cool kind of anecdotal to kind of give you another idea as to why this is so important that you take the time to make friends along the way, and how this can kind of change and impact your business. So I am also a part of a lot of small and diverse supplier diversity councils across the nation, and where they help small and diverse businesses, get connected with corporations to try to help, build their businesses or help, grow their businesses. And a friend of mine in one of those councils, he gave me the best tip and best advice that for me to volunteer at any and all, events that I could that fit within my schedule, right? And this allowed me a lot more face time with these corporations and folks that can, make a difference in my business. And for him, he did that so much to where all of the corporate sponsors in this one particular council knew him by name. They didn't always necessarily know his company, but they knew him, right? And so when an opportunity arose where one of the corporations had an amazing, multi-year deal, they instantly thought of him. And not because he had sent them 100 emails, detailing all the things he could do. And, because he was following up with people or he had the best marketing plan. No, it was because they knew him. He showed up to events, he gave time of himself, he introduced himself, and they wanted to do business with somebody that they knew, they liked, they trusted. So, again, just trying to reiterate that networking doesn't have to be, so stuffy and so scary. It could honestly just be you volunteering, with some folks, picking up trash at the beach, and, just through you getting to know each other, they realize, wow, hey, Curling's about to graduate college and he's got all of this great background experience, and I need somebody that, that has that sort of experience. I'm going to call him and I'm going to see if he, is available. Things like that can shape your life. So I have a couple of tips on networking that I thought I would kind of share. One, be you, right? Be your authentic self. That if you go in there scared and nervous, and again, you're trying to just put on airs and not be yourself, that just doesn't come across, the same way, right? And that again, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. They're not going to trust you if you don't even seem like you trust yourself. So, and then I do this thing called a Take 5 challenge. So if I end up going into a room that maybe it is a networking event, or it's a golf tournament, or something where there's a lot of people and I'm nervous, maybe, I've got to try to talk to 5 people. That's my challenge to myself. I got to try to just talk to 5 people. Again, I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want to get to know 5 people. And by the end of it, you've ended up talking to more than 5 people, but it's at least a start, right? Again, keep an open mind and let go of all expectations. So walk in there that you just want to meet people. Again, it's not about trying to sell your services or your company, or selling, yourself if you're looking for an internship or looking for a job. You're just trying to get to know people, because when you walk into it with less expectations, you're a lot more open to possibilities. And again, the person you meet initially may not be somebody that can help you right now, but they may know somebody that could, or, they may not be able to help you today, but maybe 6 months from now, they have an opportunity. And again, they remember, oh, Curling, I really loved what he had to say. I think he'd be the perfect fit for that. So again, just be open-minded that you may not see, the fruits of this conversation today, but it could open other doors. And then the backup 3. So I get really nervous sometimes when I go and talk to people. So I think of like 3 backup questions to ask. Here in San Diego, we are a city of transplants, right? So I always ask people, well, what city are you from? And usually that sparks a conversation that somebody will say, oh, I'm from Cleveland. And you're like, oh, okay, well, do you like the Browns? Do you like, you just think of something random that's associated with that city. And then it starts a whole other conversation where, again, they get to see a different side of your personality, and you get to see a different side of their personality. You you're honestly getting to know someone else. And this is where active listening comes in too, right? That you're actively listening to the things that they're talking about, and you're genuinely just making a conversation. This is no longer about trying to, again, sell your services or sell yourself. You are genuinely trying to just get to know someone. And lastly is never pass up free food. So when I was in law school, my very first year, I had a third year law student, come up to me and tell me, never pass up free food while you're here. And I thought, okay, that's really weird. What do you even mean by that? And he said, hey, you should go and join organizations here on campus. They always host, events where there's free food, and, you get an opportunity to meet people. Hey, you're a broke law student, never pass up free food. So go to, go to everything that can fit into your schedule, right? And so that's kind of, my advice to you is that, look around for, now that COVID is kind of starting to ease up a little bit, look for other events that you can attend. If it is a Zoom, awesome. If it's in person, even better. And, the more times that people see you and they see your face and they see your name, again, the more that they know, like, and trust you, right? And again, people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So those are kind of just my little kind of tips on how you can connect to people, and why people connection is important. And I know that Curling, you said there might be some time for some kind of Q&A and some questions.
Yeah, I know we've been chatting, and for the cohort, if you guys want to unmute yourself, some questions. I know Tripty always has some good questions, and Brianna, you guys can unmute yourself. I was just cracking up because I was looking at Tripty on the whole free food thing. I love that one. It was so funny because definitely I was broke college student. SC is a little expensive, but the one key thing was that Microsoft and all these tech companies would bring all this great food. I would be hooked up all week.
Right.
that was like real right there. So that affected me. That tip right there. But that's good. So one thing I have for you too. Remember I said I had a few questions from other groups that can come. One was the thing I didn't talk to you on our before, but it was about how some of these kind of techniques got affected during the pandemic, and what's your kind of feedback on some of that?
Yeah. Honestly, not being able to go in person was, initially kind of hard, right? That I'm such a people person. I like to be around people. I want to, I can start a conversation at the coffee cooler, when you go and you're getting your coffee at a conference. Oh, hey, I love your shoes. Like, that's just kind of me. And so this was a little harder, but, having to adapt and, adapt and overcome. That's what they say in the military all the time. So at Zoom events, making an effort to, again, do my top 5 challenge, right? Of going out of my way to, okay, there's 5 people here on this list of attendees. I'm going to click on their name, send them a private message, and introduce myself.
Got it.
And honestly, that's how my friend that I told the story about how he, was able to land a great contract. That's honestly how we met, was through a Zoom conference that he was part of my challenge, of my top 5 challenge. And I just messaged him, and we set up another time to talk for, a follow-up 30-minute call, and just kind of hit it off from there. He gave me really great, mentorship tips, and we've been friends ever since. And, it just takes that one, moment, that one time of putting yourself out there that could completely change kind of the trajectory for you. So
I love that. Google always has these huge conferences. Some of them are in LA, San Francisco, and a lot of our groups go. And one of them had this like sign, Rachel. It had like thumbs up, like make friends, and like thumbs down, like make contacts. Like, so it was like you're dead on that one. So that was good. Other one was like this kind of help first, right?
Right.
When you're thinking about making friends, right? That switch of thinking that's a contact, that's a lead versus a friend is an interesting thing. You don't really hear that in MBA on that level, but is there any other? I was thinking about when you're talking about this whole friend part, but is there something where you're actually having it where you're thinking about like how you can help that person first? Is that more like being a friend to that person? Is that? I would like to unpack that part about the friends versus contacts.
Yeah. I mean, again, when you look at someone as a contact, you're just thinking, okay, well, what can I get from this? You know,
Got
like,
it.
hey, like, how can they help me? Versus a friend where you genuinely, okay, you want to know a little bit more about them. They know a little bit more about you. And then again, those connections make sense later on when an opportunity arises, you know, that, hey, I have some friends in business that have, you know, small children. And if I come across something that is kid related, I'm like, oh, let me call them because I know this would apply to them. You know, you kind of are thinking about things differently. And now they also put you in a different bucket. They put you in a bucket as, hey, this is somebody who is genuinely, you know, looking out for me and, you know, is a good person, you know. And again, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust, and they can trust you at that point. They like you at that point. So I just like to view it that way versus just, hey, I got to make these 5 connections today. I got to make these leads. Like, no.
That's great. We're getting more comments on the food part. Brianna, was Cal State San Marcos, and Rachel, you're
I
alumni at
went
Cal State.
there.
You're
Yep,
alumni,
I was
right?
a poli-sci major in class of 2008. So
I love it. I love it. But she said she met some friends waiting in line for food. You know, so food is
yes,
it. Trip to saying even talking about the food that's in the event is maybe
exactly,
one. So that's great.
exactly.
Stuart, you can unmute yourself and ask this question. I think this is a good question.
Hi, yeah. My question's basically, how do you engage portions of your network that you haven't been in contact with for, a very long period of time, like 5+ years, right? You just knew this person from way back when. You want to re-engage, you notice that they're doing stuff on LinkedIn. You're like, whoa, I remember that person. How did I meet them? You might be having those questions to yourself. And I just want to ask, like, where would you go from that?
Honestly, the LinkedIn part that you talked about, sometimes that's really, really helpful, especially people that
Yeah.
post often, or they post their wins and successes often. That's a great way to send a message and say, hey, congratulations on X, Y, and Z. And if there is, some moment that you do remember from, each other, like, oh, hey, I always remember that time that we got stuck in the elevator on the way to the library, or, whatever that was. It just, again, that familial kind of touch where they remember, oh yeah, she is a friend, like, oh, thanks for, the congratulations, and how are you doing? And that kind of opens the door again to, oh, well, what are you doing now? And I'm doing this. And then you can kind of build from that point.
I like that too. Rachel, 1 out of 4 people come to Focus not like to build a company, but to build a career. This question is more on the fact that when people talk to me, I try to give them some feedback, and I think I actually too, like, you know what? When a founder comes to me, I usually give them this book, Founder's Dilemma, right? There's some principles here, but when people ask me about like that on a career wise or things of that nature, you have some books or anything offhand or a article that you give people on something of
I
that nature.
I do. I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I it's a little further than I can reach at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
but
yeah. No, 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 no problem.
I'll put it in the chat. But again, the book that I'm going to recommend, they also really kind of talk about that people connection, right? And
Yes.
about kind of taking it all in, that when you're an employee, especially from the time that you're doing an interview, right? That they're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. Like, is this the right,
Yeah.
atmosphere for me? Is this the right community, the right culture for me? And then reassessing that, along the way, like a year in, is this still the right culture for me? And also finding mentors. I think that's the biggest thing too, when you're an employee or a founder, but especially as an employee, having, I don't know if this is going to date me too much or not, but on MySpace, right? You used to have the top 8. So you had your top
You
8
you did get
people.
you got dated, Rachel. You said my.
Well, it's okay. For this reference, I think,
It's good. It's
hopefully
good. It's
people will
good.
get it. But the top 8, you had your top, 8 friends that were listed at the top of the page. Well, I think as an employee, and maybe even as a founder in general, you should have your top 8. They should be
Yeah.
people that are both, work related and non-work related, that you can talk to and kind of be able to bounce off these, career questions, these life questions, and people that can kind of help mold you and kind of guide you and kind of help you along the way. Because, currently, I know we've kind of talked about before where sometimes people, are thinking, well, I'm not really getting the same mentorship at my current employment. I should just leave so I can go somewhere else. Well, maybe that's not necessarily necessary, because maybe the work that you're doing is so great there, but you just need somebody that's going to help push you. And they're outside of that place of employment. They work somewhere else, and their viewpoint from that other location could be what you needed to kind of push forward. So I say all that to say that connection to people is always important in all aspects, whether you're a founder or an employee.
One thing I like about how you had your trajectory since you've been part of cohort is that the different organizations that you've been in, right? Even like recently, you've been like part of that. Really, I mean, the group of EIRs, these entrepreneurs and residents, this time was phenomenal, and you're part of that group.
Yeah.
Was there some mentorship in offhand that you got before about being part of these kind of weak nodes, these other groups that to connect, make it easier for you to meet new people? What that's just it's a different mindset that you're always in these different other groups to meet people. But it kind of stretches you thin, I know, a little bit. We pushed you at, but I'm just curious on that strategy.
I mean, we definitely were pushed in a great way. We definitely broke up. EIRs are broken up into different groups, and each group is responsible for certain aspects of things. But I think we all brought in different dimensions to the table, right? And we all brought in different circles and different it was really great though, because I could talk to someone who had previously worked for a very large tech company, and my thoughts and ideas on how we can kind of shape the work that was given to us was added to by her experience and her circle, and just being able, I mean, it was great. I felt like we were just constantly springboarding ideas, and well, I could bring in this person, or let's talk to these people. And it was just really nice to be surrounded by so many different really hard charging amazing founders. Like I can't wait for more people to see all the work that they're doing.
I love that. But you were just influential in that group, and everyone's saying how you were helping. I'm thinking that Brianna, you can unmute yourself. This is a good question. I was gonna read it, but I like when you say it, Brianna. This is a good one.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Rachel, so much for speaking to us today. So my question was really on the follow-up after meeting someone new. It's so awkward. So like you, I'm a people person. Like I love talking to people. I can do it all day long. But it's always the follow-up that kills me. Like I cannot, reach out for that coffee date, reach out for that one-on-one Zoom meeting just to see how everything's going with them. So I just wanted to know, what are your tips and tricks to, building that everlasting long relationship?
Yeah. Well, I've seen it kind of work two different ways. I think it kind of depends on what your comfort level is, right? So some people like to just go on LinkedIn and they'll friend someone a couple days after they've met them. I personally don't particularly like to do that. I don't know. I just, it's not really my thing. I'm more of, okay, well, I'll reach out via email and ask, hey, well, can we set up that, that 30-minute Zoom? Or, if it's somebody I was really enjoying having a conversation with, yeah, maybe that is a, hey, do you want to meet up for, coffee? I'd love to keep talking more about, what that was. Or I really want to hear more about what you're doing. And then usually if you are serious about having the meeting, I'd give them like 3 dates and times that work for you. Nice. So then that way, now the ball's in their court. Like, oh, well, okay, I do have time on Thursday. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's do that. And as soon as they say that, if it's a Zoom meeting, immediately send that that calendar invite. If it's a meeting in person, immediately send that calendar invite. A lot of people's time gets, built up really quickly, booked up really quickly. So as soon as you're able to kind of secure that, the better. But I would say, maybe within the first, 2-3 days, that first kind of, touch point. And then if you haven't heard anything, maybe circle back in a week and say, oh, well, hey, I just wanted to, reach out again and see if you wanted to, catch up, follow up, and kind of continue talking. And usually, people are, oh, okay, yeah, I missed that. Sorry, I do have some time. Let's do that. And then, you guys can kind of take it from that next step. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, that was great. Yeah, I think that like by giving myself that time limit of 2 to 3 days will also get me to, actually make that move. Because, I honestly will wait like a month and be like, hey, remember me? We had that good talk, like, way back when. But no, I think that, setting that for yourself will really help you to, continue to keep meeting people and building relationships. So thank you.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of the 30-minute Zoom call. I know it seems like, oh wow, like I'm committing them to time with me, for 30 minutes in front of the community. But honestly, it's great. It's just you and them, and it's an opportunity for you to again further get to know them. And sometimes, I mean, the best information just can come out of that. These relationships can grow stronger, from just that little extra 30 minutes. So try it.
Awesome, will do. Thank you.
Rachel, there was this TEDx. It went kind of viral too, but I think it was like 50 cups of coffee or 500 cup of coffee. But basically, what it was saying is having it where when you meet someone and you have a coffee with them, after the meeting, you say like, you know what? Do you have anyone else I can talk to? And that's kind of how it goes. Do you subscribe to that, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I let the conversation kind of dictate that.
Okay.
Sometimes the conversation kind of lends itself to that, where, you guys are talking about potential opportunities just because it comes up in conversation. And at the end, you say, well, could you maybe make an introduction for me on that? Or could I maybe talk to, your friend on that? Or again, like with my friend, just from our conversation, he recommended me to, volunteer for a certain committee. He said, hey, I want you to talk to this person because I think you'd be great on this committee. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? But that just kind of came organically. I didn't really go into it with a plan. I just honestly wanted to get to know, him and his business and kind of what it was that he did and just kind of see how it went. Turns out we couldn't do business together, but
Sure.
outside of that, he's definitely kind of changed my path in terms of, how I, what organizations that I'm a part of and how I kind of grow as a businesswoman. So.
I love it. I know we talked about this could be like a series, like we have maybe 2 parts, 3 parts of this. So I know maybe I'll save this other question, but I want to ask this one question before we close out though. And if anyone has any more questions, you guys can put on chat. But what would you tell little Rachel, right? Just graduated, just like we do have a lot of graduates here, just graduating. Probably, I don't know, but LinkedIn, I usually tell people, when you graduate, make sure you have LinkedIn, right? That's like my only thing. But what would you tell little Rachel about moving on and networking and just being connected when you just graduate? What would you tell her?
Again, I would say be open. I would be open to trying new things, right? And join organizations. If you hadn't joined any while you were in school, kind of look at some other nonprofits locally that do things that interest you. Like I joined Startup San Diego because I was really interested in the entrepreneurial startup kind of ecosystem here in San Diego. So I volunteered with them. And now I'm an EIR. And now that's kind of, again, spawned, these new relationships where I'm building on things. And look, I'm even here, talking to you guys and because I reconnected with Curling at Startup San Diego. So, start kind of really thinking about things that matter to you. And the reason why I say I'm starting with nonprofits is because sometimes the larger companies that you want to work for, they have particular social responsibilities that they are really impactful on, or they're very focused on, right? That if you want to work for Dell and they really love conservation efforts with trees or something, that, okay, we'll start looking at, organizations that do tree conservation, and maybe you start volunteering there and you really get to kind of understand the culture of these companies that you wanted to work with and whether that really fits who you are and do you really agree with these sorts of things. And then again, you just start to meet new people who eventually could, potentially help you, get a job at that company, or, it just kind of helps you grow your own network and really figure out if some of these companies are where you want to be.
I like that. I like that a lot. My dad always made sure we were exposed to so many different things. And I think that's kind of like your approach, right? Being exposed to different things, and then you can actually. I believe, even talking to Alex Waters, he has a very similar thing as my dad. I would say, have these kind of collisions in your life where you're meeting different people. Make sure you have all these different collisions, and Fokcus is part connect all, and that's what we're trying to do. Make sure different people, color, BIPOC, they get to like kind of connect. So I love that. Love that wisdom you gave little Rachel. I had Joanna Robinson. Joanna, do you have any final thoughts or any things with Rachel? If not, it's fine. But Joanna always reminds me that Rachel's amazing. Why don't you have her on the show?
Rachel, I'm glad we got it together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved all your tips, and it was great. And I was like, how come I don't talk to Rachael more?
Exactly.
Hey, we're gonna have to go to coffee.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I love her. She is amazing. When I went through Fokcus, these two were my mentors, and I am so grateful for all the tips and just support. So I know you guys are in such good hands, and honestly, leverage them. They're amazing.
That's great. That's great.
Very kind.
Well, we'll wrap it up. Rachael, thank you so much. Also, thank you for your service. I should always start off with that too.
Yes.
I know we're gonna have this kind of like a series because I feel like this is one thing that all of our founders really need to understand. It's interesting because some of the professors, I have Professor Beltran, who's she's on right now. Even Carly. If you want to make any feedback too, Carly, you can unmute yourself, but. A lot of the professors at Cal State San Marcos said like sometimes it's like this access issue we have with founders, right?
Right.
And what you're explaining, Rachael, is helping with that. What that looks like. There's still going to be other systematic things that happen, but just the fact that you can put some of these strategies together definitely does help. So I just definitely appreciate you on that.
Well, and as a founder, a diverse founder, also look into organizations that are focused on diverse founders and diverse businesses. There are supplier diversity councils throughout the country, and one of which I'm a part of, and I absolutely love, and that level of connection and support that they provide for, founders that are, diverse from different diverse backgrounds. And that, could be people of color, it could be women, veterans, people of LGBTQ community. We all encompass that community of diverse founders, and there are networks out there to help. And once you get plugged in there's others that kind of spawn from that. There may be the Latino Business Association of San Diego, of LA, of wherever. These are really great networks to kind of get connected with, where again you can continue to meet new friends who you can do business with. There's women's business organizations left and right. I mean, there's just so many that you could be a part of. So just kind of keep those in mind that are really helpful to kind of help grow your business.
That's great. And maybe we can touch on some of those next time, what that kind of looks like. And I did, just a side note, I did tell my daughter about the extraordinary banana pudding.
Yes!
Oh, she was like so excited. Just doing a little shout out. I think that was Black San Diego giving that shout out.
Yes.
So we're gonna try to make a little trip.
It's so good. It's and it's so funny. That's part of that people connection, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all about people connection, and there's a couple different online groups that I'm a part of. One is Black San Diego, and they will occasionally post a Black-owned business that they say, hey, everybody, you guys should go and try that. And hey, I tried the banana pudding and I loved it. And so I told Curling about that, and look, now they're going to have new customers. And sometimes it's just little things like that where something you enjoy that you share that with someone else, and it's just helps things to kind of grow on each other.
I love it. Yeah. So thanks so much, Rachael, for that. And I'm gonna take a little snapshot of while we're eating the banana pudding, and I'll give a little selfie.
Yes.
But thank you so much, and thank you
You're
for
welcome.
like all your wisdom. Thanks everyone for coming on. We got new people. It was Brandon and Coach Rashid and David. Some people maybe from Cal State San Marcos. So Carly, thanks you for coming on too. We'll see everyone next week. Stuart going to be speaking about financial tools and things of that nature for some of our startups and founders. So have a good rest of your week, everyone. Take care, Rachael. Take care, everyone.
Bye.